What's up, Bomb Squad? It's Jason Sircone back with you here on Podcasting Strategy Simplified. It's episode 101, and today I've got another 5-minute answer to one of your burning questions about podcast strategy. Today's question: how long does it realistically take to build a successful podcast audience? Now, this is one of those questions that I cannot provide an exact number for, because if I could, I would absolutely be unlocking some Swami abilities that I did not know I had. But also, everyone would have already done it. If the answer was 100 episodes, well, then everybody probably would have stuck around and kept building to that 100 episode mark. I say that slightly tongue-in-cheek because there is a little bit of science behind getting to that 100 episode plateau. And if you've made it to that point with your podcast thus far, congratulations. You're among the 5% of podcasters that get to that point. It's very unfortunate that 95% of podcasters never see that number because they throw in the towel far too early. And that's really the better way to answer this question. Is it could happen at any point in that time frame, or it could happen at any point after that time frame. And that may not be what you want to hear today. But what you do need to hear today is that you never develop a successful podcast audience, quote unquote, if you throw in the towel. That's been one of the driving missions behind Bombtrack Media with this podcast. Everything that I've been trying to do in the podcast space is to flip that script a little bit. If we have to find new ways to build podcast content, then so be it. Now, when I say new ways, it's not so much about changing the script completely, but ultimately it's about honoring your time and understanding how much time you can dedicate to building a successful podcast. If you don't evaluate that in the very beginning, chances are you're going to put yourself up against the wall. And when you're pressed up against the wall trying to build something that you really haven't seen come to life yet, it becomes easier to throw in the towel. And that's the last thing I want to see happen to you. Now, building that successful audience, there's a number of factors in play. Have you already developed an audience in other arenas? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have an email list? Do you have a social media following? Some of those followers may journey with you to the podcast world as well. Not all of them will, because they're not all podcast listeners. However, you can still serve them your content by repurposing your podcast and giving them video clips or emails or whatever platform they're following you on now. You can utilize that to create your content through podcasting, then repurpose it to deliver it to them so they're still in your ecosystem and they're still experiencing the good word about what you have to say. And that's really the most important part. But getting people over to your podcast, it's a lot of consistency. It's a lot of developing good content, and it's a lot of leaning into what works. And I've talked about this on past episodes. When you see an episode that pops off, maybe one gets more listens or more engagement than a few before it, that's your audience telling you that you've created something that they want to hear. So lean into that. Double down. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I've been guilty of this. I think we've all been guilty of this at some point. We have something take off, and then all of a sudden, we're trying to do something completely different. It's like, okay, that worked. Let's try something else. When the mentality should be, okay, that worked. How do I lead into that and keep doubling down? Your audience is giving you that clue by saying, okay, we loved what you had to say. We've shared it. Your numbers most likely reflect that. Now, give us more. That's how you develop that audience over time. That's one way that you can listen to your audience, because they're going to tell you what they want. But at the same time, you can also run polls. You can ask them questions. You can read some of their reviews. You can tap into what they're telling you on your show. And that's going to help them build more trust and more love in you. And as you continue to build that relationship, they will in turn tell others that they should be checking out what you have to say as well. So if you're solving a problem, if you are answering questions that they have in their world, and they have other people in their circle that are asking those same questions and looking for that same guidance, you better believe if you do your job, they're going to tell their friends, their colleagues, the people in their circle to check you out as well. So there's no blanket answer to say, okay, once you get to this point, your audience will have grown to a successful point. There's just no way to do that. But if you stay consistent in building good content, keep getting better at how you come to the microphone and you get on camera and you speak to your audience, the more trust they're going to build in you. And that's going to keep them coming back. And most importantly, that's going to get them recommending your content to others. So that is going to do it for today's episode of Podcasting Strategy Simplified. Thanks again for starting off your week with me. And until our paths cross again on the next episode, my name is Jason Sircone, reminding you that podcasting isn't easy, but it doesn't need to be complicated. I'll see you next time.